Nintendo has a very bad reputation when it comes to emulation, lawsuits and all this other stuff. But they kind of blame it, kind of bring it on themselves. If you look at some of their hardware, it is very easy to emulate outside of the N64, which had a little bit of trouble. But when you look at all their other consoles, they're fairly easy to emulate. And well, we have a situation now where Nintendo is suing the people who made the YUZU emulator. Now, what is the YUZU emulator? That is the emulator that emulates the Switch. Now, what do I think about the Switch? I am very, fond of the Switch now. At first I wasn't, but I learned to love it. I think it's a fantastic console. And I kind of understand why people are emulating the Switch just like they emulate any other console. And it is becoming a problem for Nintendo yet again. They're out here suing people based on using the emulator and some games that came out early. I think Tears of the Kingdom was one of them, whatever the case may be. I think the Persona game was on there, Xenoblade Chronicles. All these games that came out early is like the reason why they're, suing. Also, the game is not the game, but the emulator is using product keys. I think about that. It's kind of similar like the BIOS of, like, let's say the PlayStation or any other console that uses BIOS. You really cannot use those outside of using your own. Those are the things that's really, really copyrighted. So the product keys are what people are using, and they're trying to say that that's a reason why they're going to sue as well. I think it was it was another reason why the Dolphin emulator didn't make it to Steam, because of the product keys. I think that was an issue, and I think it's still kind of an issue to this day. But the Dolphin emulator's been out for so long, which is a fantastic emulator. But you're not going to stop it at this point. It's been shared around so much. Same thing with this emulator. It's not much they can do here. They're going after the makers of YUZU, where they're going after the monetary value because they've been making money on Patreon. They've been making all these other improvements to make this an extremely popular console emulator. So now you're looking at a situation where what's going to happen. I mean, is you don't want to mess with Nintendo at all. Especially when it comes to lawsuits or whatever the case may be. They usually win what they what they go after. Now, I'm not really sure about this one personally. It's an emulator. There's already precedent for emulators, or as far as them being shut down, all the way going all the way back to the PlayStation 1. I think there was like some I remember back to PlayStation 1 in the Bleemcast or something like that, or it was somewhere around that era where you found out that emulators are open work, long as it's not really using certain parts of an emulator or something like that. I can't remember, but I know that there was some judgment that was struck down. I think it had something to do with the PlayStation, where these emulators are somewhat fair use, and they're legal in what they are. And, it's just the piracy part of making pirating games. That's a different story. As for me, I don't really use emulators. I have all my consoles. I love them. I try to preserve them and keep them. But I do download emulators. Don't get me wrong. I do for preservation purposes. Do I use them? I really don't use them. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I actually used an emulator for my PC. I think probably the closest thing I used was was it Fightcade, that app that you use to play arcade games? Those games aren't readily available, so I've used Fightcade to use emulators. But as far as the consoles, I mean, I have them all. If they die, I'll buy another one. That's another thing. It's a misconception. A lot of people say that these consoles are going to die out at some time, but there's hundreds of millions of a lot of these consoles, or at least tens of millions of the consoles at the bare minimum. You're not going to run out of a console to use if you really want to play these games. Like there's not an extinct console. Will it be an extinct console at some point? Yes, but there's not. No one going to experience that in their lifetime. Even the lowest selling console like the Wii U or the Dreamcast, there's 9 million of them out there, probably more. Those are just the ones that have been sold. and Dreamcast was 9 million. There's probably plenty of them out there that you can get one if you want to play with real hardware. But I'm not against emulation. I do have it for preservation purposes, but at the end of the day, you know, Nintendo's going to do what they do. So just be careful out there. If you have a YUZU, be careful if you have any emulator, because any of these companies can go crazy. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, that's just what they do. And just be mindful. Well, I'm gonna get up out of here. That's just my thoughts and opinions about it. Let me know what you guys think. What you think about what Nintendo's doing. I think it's a lost cause. I don't think Nintendo's gonna win this one. But you don't want to mess with Nintendo, you know, especially with any of this type of stuff. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all. I'm out. Peace.